This is Pace the Nation.
When you climb up that hill, well, eventually you'll come down.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Pace the Nation, broadcasting back here at Studio 1A in downtown Arlington, Virginia. Feels like home. Back again for our second episode of the new season. It's actually episode 284. I'm Chris Farley, your host of Pace the Nation. Alongside me, in front of me, in studio with me, well, my wife, Julie Cully. Julie, what's up?
Correction, it is season 2,
Yeah,
episode 2.
That's true. Season 2, episode 2. People like that. Season 1 or season 2, episode 1. This is actually 284. So we're going to call
I'm
it.
going with the fresh new season.
You know what? I like to have, I feel like we have more credibility if we're 284 episodes in. If we're like,
I don't know. Maybe we need to take it to a vote.
Yeah, we can take it to a vote. We got to get the social media going again. We are.
No, I
on-
think we should keep talking about social media.
Not
We're going to post
posting.
it on social and then not post it.
We're at Pace the Nation on your favorite social media channels of Twitter, X, whatever that is now, and on Instagram, of course.
Are we on Threads yet? We
Not
need
on
to get
Threads. Not
All right,
not
we
on
need to
Threads.
work on
I
that.
think Threads will
We
be
need to
dead.
get hip with the times.
No, I think we'll probably be dead by the time we actually get on Threads.
I don't know.
So back again for another exciting episode of Pace the Nation. We got a really awesome guest joining us. And let me tease the guest now. And I got a couple topics for you before we get to our guest. But really excited to be joined by a friend of ours, Tommy Nohilly. He is the new head coach of the Atlanta Track Club elite program. So he was at the New Jersey, New York Track Club. He was at Empire Elite Track Club, where he was coaching at both of those programs. Also, former star athlete, 4th place in the Olympic trials in both 1992 and 1996, where you were probably before you were even running. He was a Olympic trials finalist and 4th place finisher. Tough spot to be in, not making the Olympic team, but super successful career in running, and now he's the head coach of the Atlanta Track Club. So excited to talk to Tommy today. So we'll get to him in just a minute, but before we do, Julie, audience, everybody knows this is sort of a therapeutic session for me on Pace the Nation. So I bring up our personal life and things going on.
I don't know if I contribute to your healing, though.
I don't
This
know
is
if you
therapy.
do. Well, it's well, we'll see. To be determined. Because I'm not even sure I've prepped you with a couple of things that are going on in our home life that I want to bring up.
Maybe this is more of a confessional.
No. It's, you know what's going on. It is August. It is birthday month for us, and that's what I wanted to bring up here. All our kids. We got 3 kids. Much talked about on this program. 2 of their birthdays have happened already. It's August. All 3 of their birthdays are in August. James, our oldest, is going to turn 7 August 30th. Paul, August 3rd. He just turned 5. And Julian, August 9th, just turned 2.
You're looking
That was a
at me like
test for myself.
Yeah, like you need me to confirm that those are their birthdays.
So
Guess who will never forget when their birthdays are? The one who born them.
who birthed them. Yes. Yeah, that's very true. But August is a busy month for us. I feel like there's a birthday.
And it's the height of your training month, Chris.
I
This
know.
is when you're kicking off your marathon training. Why are we even talking about their
I know, that's
birthdays? This
true.
should be about your
We'll
marathon
save
training.
my marathon training for another show, which
Okay.
is fine. Thanks for asking. But birthday month, and 3 times, so about a 1/10, because 330 divided by 3, so 1/10 of every day in August, we have a birthday, and we are doing the birthday bits, which include starting off the day with cupcakes in bed.
Yeah, that's our tradition.
It's our tradition. Love the tradition, but it is a sugar high for the whole team.
It's
3
the way
days.
we kick off the day. And then we feed them a little more sugar throughout the day, a little more sugar throughout the day, a little more sugar at night, and then everybody melts down and we
So
go
the
to
thing
bed.
is, it's not like just the kid who gets the birthday gets the cupcakes in bed. It is every kid getting cupcakes in bed. So they start their day. And I think every time that we bring them the cupcakes, and I love the tradition, it's great. I'm not trying to suggest that we change the tradition. I think every time they're just going to take a bite or two of the cupcake. But every time Paul licks the entire icing off, he just eats the entire icing, has a bite or two of the less sugary substance of the cake of it. James plows through the whole thing, and then Julian gets it everywhere. We had cake all over our floor
All
of
over
our
their
house,
bodies.
all over
Then
their
they
bodies.
actually walked through the icing and the cake on the floor and tracked it into their rooms as they went to go get changed.
And inevitably, like you said, it's a meltdown. So, have you considered anything different, a new tradition?
No,
different
that's
tradition?
the beauty of little kid birthdays.
Yeah.
There's so much joy and excitement, and then there's so much crying and tears because it's a long day.
It is, but it's great. And there's balloons, and there's presents, and there's yelling because it's only Julian's presents, and the boys want to open up his presents, and it is just it's a lot. It is a lot, but I guess that is we should enjoy it and soak it in. So that was one thing I wanted to bring up, and I'm not suggesting we change tradition, but it is what it is. They still have their camps,
Yeah.
so that we have to take them to camps, and there's probably meltdowns at their camps, but and I'm glad that they do have camps, because then they become somebody else's problem and not our problem. But I was as I transitioned from the birthday to the camps, I noticed something today. These camps are amazing, but they just eat up a lot of our day. I feel like yesterday half your day was work at your new job, but your other half of the day was organizing and setting up camps. It is an amazing time suck.
This is the life of a working mother. I got a little bit of time between December and July to actually take a break and look and see what this full chaos looks like,
Yeah,
and embrace the full chaos, and then add a job on top of the chaos.
right.
No, that's summer. I
Yeah.
mean, it used to be, we didn't grow up with camps.
Right.
Camps are a phenomenon of this generation, right? Because we have so many working parents.
Mhm.
And what do you do with the kids in the summer when the whole family has to work or the adults have to work? So they head out to camp, and at least where we are, there's
Definitely.
40 different camps to choose from.
I feel like less of a dad, because I don't know what we would do if they didn't have camps.
Well, you wouldn't know what to do if I didn't put every detail in your calendar, and
That's
all you have
true,
to do is wake up in the morning and
That's
take a
true,
look
too.
at where I will be managing them.
Yes, it's
But
true.
it's a lot of shuffling.
Yeah.
It's a lot of moving pieces, and they are having a blast,
They
which
are.
is super important.
Yep.
But it is a lot. Summertime is a lot. And then you have the great experience of taking your kids on vacation,
Right.
which is just chaos on the road.
It's 7, 5, and 2. It is chaos.
It's
Yeah.
chaos on the road. We came back from New Jersey last week from
Yep.
visiting my parents at the beach, and our 2-year-old cried for 5 hours.
I know. All the way
5
home.
straight hours.
All the way home. Yep. Yeah, that wasn't fun.
But that's summer.
Yeah,
Summer
it is
is
summer.
for us. Summer is birthdays, it's camp, it's sugar, it's madness, and then every parent is just so thrilled
yeah.
that we are 2 weeks away, just 2 weeks away
school.
from school
August
starting
27th
and
here in Arlington.
continuity, and we know
Yeah.
what's happening on most days.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
So
it has been fun.
I think that's my roundabout way of giving you props. I don't know how you handle it all. Thanks for doing all those camps.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
I did drop off today. That was my big thing that I did. And you know what I did? I forgot James's glasses. So then I got to drive all the way home. Time suck of the day.
Forgot the glasses. I'm pretty
Then
sure
bring-
you forgot the sunscreen as well. So they'll probably all get burned today.
They got a little bit of sunscreen. but
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do. I worry because when
So-
I put the sunscreen on, they have it all over their face, and it's not rubbed in appropriately. But
Yeah. A big part of my job is managing you as well. So you can talk about the kids, but managing you and giving you lists
yeah.
to head out the door every day. I gave you a list before you headed out to go get coffee, and you forgot about the list and came back with just the coffee. So
All right. So that's our summer. So props. You're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah.
thanks.
All right. We're going to transition. You know what? Tommy's got 3 kids. He can understand.
Tommy, they have I think his between his firstborn and then the twins. I think 17 or 18 months.
18 months apart. Yeah.
So
yeah.
that was a very busy time.
Yeah,
Very
so he
busy
gets it.
time.
So
Yeah.
I won't go into it with him, but because I don't want to belabor the point, but he would get me. He would feel me. Or at least that's how
I
you
don't know.
think.
I think Tommy's got my back.
I'm sure he does. All right. Excited to be joined. Next up here on Pace the Nation, episode 284 of Pace the Nation.
Season 2, episode 2.
Episode 284. Next joining us, the new head coach of the Atlanta Track Club Elite. It's Tommy Nohilly. Joins us here on Pace the Nation.
Pace the Nation is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
All right, welcome back to the program. And now, Julie, we were excited to be joined by the brand new head coach of the Atlanta Track Club. It's Tommy Nohilly. Tommy, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Doing well.
Good to
Thanks
see
for
you,
having me
man. Well, thank you for joining us. And it looks like, Julie, that this may be the first time we've had a guest broadcasting from an Is that an Airstream you're in?
I'm in an Airstream in my driveway. It's also a brand new Airstream. Well, not brand new, but new to the Nohilly family.
New to you guys.
It's the
That's
new
awesome.
My new headquarters for now. My office, because
This is
you
you
know-
get kicked out of the house and then you got to go out in the
I need one of
Airstream to get
those.
some work done. I know
Well,
we might need
you
to
know,
invest in one.
Yeah.
we did downsize, and everybody's working from home, so we're always trying to find spaces. As you know, like I'll be over here in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, where you gonna be? Upstairs? All
That's
right. So now I'm outside, which is great for me. It's no problem. It's a really comfortable, cool space, and I can get Wi-Fi. So
That's
it's all
awesome.
good.
Well, Tommy, thank you so much for joining us. You've got a history, a friend of the Farley Cully family here. We want to talk about obviously your new position at the Atlanta Track Club, a transition for you and your family and Kim and all the Nohilly family. So we want to talk about that. But before we do, let's go back. I mean, I know you were an assistant coach at New York Track Club. We want to talk about that as well. But let's go back for our audience who doesn't know Tommy Nohilly. A Queens guy growing up, star runner in high school, Queens, University of Florida. And so talk about you. You were a real good high school runner, right?
I mean, I don't think I really ran that well as a high school till my senior year. I think I had some promise, but I wasn't all in, kind of as a high school runner. I just did it because I thought maybe there was a way I could, go to college, and that was what I wanted to do. So, but I ran well towards the end of my high school career. I mean, it was good, but I think I wound up running 4:12, but that didn't happen until like the very end of my first 1600. Didn't happen until the end of my senior year. So I didn't, and I wasn't really I had some learning issues and some challenges that way. Like school was academically was a challenge for me. And so the grades weren't there, and that, so I didn't really get a lot of opportunities. I was at home in Queensborough Community College for the first semester of my college career. And
before you went to Florida. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And I actually got a great opportunity. It was kind of a thing where I made a split decision to go out to California to a junior college out there called Taft College, which at the time was a developmental college that, I basically got the call on a Wednesday and I was on a plane the next Tuesday. And I spent 2 years out there. It was in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't even a traffic light in the town, but they had 2 coaches that were recruiting athletes that couldn't get into 4-year school. So, the idea was get your AA degree and then transfer, which I did. And, so I spent 2 years in California, south of Bakersfield, like 30 miles in Taft, California. So, yeah. And it was a good opportunity for me because I needed remediation. I needed like some help to, I wasn't ready to go,
man. I was right there with you, man. I'm with you. I did not know. Julie, do you know he was community college?
No,
that's really
awesome.
Cool.
And actually we had a phenomenal, phenomenal team out there. If I gave you the list of names, I mean, it was a high caliber track program. I mean, I ran 9 flat and I was third on the
Wow.
list for the steeple as a
Jeez.
freshman in junior college. We had 2 sub 49. We had 2 guys ran 48 in the 800. I mean, these guys were recruiting from around the world.
Mhm.
We broke the American record in the sprint medley at the time. You know, I mean, like we used to
That's
joke around,
amazing.
it's just a bunch of fast dummies out there. We were rolling.
Or maybe you were the smart ones.
Yes.
You're getting the 2 years in, you're getting some development, and then you move on to a 4-year school.
Well, it's a joke, right? But we're not dummies, just not academically suited, right? So it was like, we made smart moves, but just like needed a little time to get ready for the academics. So then I did transfer to Florida, and that worked out there, where I was an NCAA champion eventually, and
you were
SEC champion.
star runner in Florida. Why Florida? You seem like a New York guy.
Well,
Florida just what was it about Florida?
Well, I had the opportunity to either go to St. John's or Florida, like, because I was actually hurt the last year at Taft, so I was a little banged up, and I had some opportunities out west, but those kind of fell through because I was banged up. But so I could have went to St. John's, or I could have went to Florida, and like I knew if I went back to Queens, this was way too many distractions for me.
Yeah.
Like a good buddy of mine delivered the beer to the bar across the street from St. John's. I knew that was not a good idea, right?
That's where you could go for holiday break.
Yeah,
that's where you go for break time.
He was delivering the beer to JPODs, and like it just was not a good idea. And I thought
you knew yourself well enough at that point in time.
Yeah, like again, you got to know yourself, I think. And and Florida offered me a little like just a tuition and books, or tuition and meals, or 1 meal a day, whatever it was. But I jumped on the opportunity to be down there, and they had a great program. They had just been like 6th in the NCAAs. There was guys like Jeff Pig down there, Mike Blaney, Mike Bilyeu. They had a strong program, and the coach Joe Walker was, just a phenomenal guy, and he gave me a shot. He really took a chance on me, and I was even hurt for the whole first semester I was there, and I had this tendonitis in my knee, and that's also where I met Jim and Phil Wharton, which allowed me to learn, the therapeutic side of my skill set as a coach, and as an and also as an athlete, that I learned how to come back from that. And that's when I started with the strength and the flexibility work with Phil and Jim Morton. They got me back, and and then I eventually, that next year we were SEC champions in cross, and then I just, it just went from there, and I just got better and was consistent. But it was a perfect place for me to be. And of course, that's where I met my wife, Kim, who's, from Arlington, as you guys know.
Yeah, and she went to my high school, Yorktown High School. Let's
yeah,
go Patriots.
And she was there, as a heptathlete at first, and also, then was just, hurdler and high jumper. And, it's Florida, so it was a great place for me to be, and, worked out well. Like I said, eventually in '89 got to be an NCAA champion, and was part of a phenomenal squad. With guys like Dennis Mitchell and Mark Everett, and we had Olympians on the team. So, you saw the level, and that was, that was why it was great for me to see that and be part of that team. And also, Joe Walker was a great coach, and John Webb at the time also was there. So those guys were good for me.
So you mentioned all these great names. So you could see a path. You're '89 steeplechase champion, NCAA champion. So obviously you could run at the next level. But probably at the time when you're coming out there in the early '90s, there probably isn't the same opportunities like Empire Track Club or the Atlanta Track Club, right? So what did you do?
Well, initially I stayed down there. Kim came down, and we lived together. But it was a couple of years of struggle from '89 till Kim was in school, still finishing her degree till in '90, and then '91 we moved in together, and I stayed down there. But I struggled. It bounced around with coaches a little bit. I had like a little Nike deal at first. That was my first deal, was a little Nike deal I had for a year. But then I had this opportunity to do a thing that was called the Reebok America program, which was a grassroots part-time work being like a tech rep in the Southeast, and they had 6 locations around the country for athletes to work part-time, but also train. That was the design of the program. And it was phenomenal. Like, we had a van, and you would basically go around to road races, set up, at the time they came out with the pump. I don't know if you remember the Reebok pump shoe.
We remember.
Yep.
Yeah. And so we would go around to races and, talk to, we had giveaways, and go to small races, and then, go to some of the running stores and just, talk to them about new shoes, just make it like a part-time tech rep basically, but not sales, just tech rep.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenal because, it gave you the ability to train, and there was 6 locations, like I said. And I think, some of the athletes were like Brian Abshire, Kathy Franey, in the Northeast. There was some good athletes that were part of it. And for me, it worked out well because, I think I think it was the salary was $12,000 a year. But at that
Right.
time, we were living large in Gainesville, right? Like, it was enough to do what we needed to do. So it was pretty cool.
Right.
But did that for that year, and it was great. We would go to a road race. There'd be like a $500 prize purse. I'd win the race, get the van, set up the shoes, hang out. People would come and talk, and it was really kind of fun, like, to do. And that really helped me that year. And I also started working with Barry Brown, who was a great steepler in the 70s, and he was part of that whole group in Gainesville. Like Frank Shorter, Jack Batchelor, all those guys. He trained with those guys in Gainesville, and he was also a New Yorker. So, that was in 91, 92. I had that job, and then I also started working with Barry, who was a real high mileage guy. Like, I went to 100 miles a week.
Wow.
From like not even barely able to ever do 70 miles a week. And Barry, it was hard. It was a tough year, but I was training with Keith Brantley, and because he was also working with Barry, and just like catapulted me into another level because of just the level of work and everything. But the only way I was able to do that at the time was with Phil and Jim Wharton's help, because they helped me with the flexibility and the strength training. And, there was a lot of challenges, but with Barry, that year I went from 838 to 816 in 92. And that's when I just missed the Olympic team in 92.
Yep. So let's talk about that. So we're getting to know Tommy Nohilly, Coach Tommy. He is the new head coach of the Atlanta Track Club. So you run 816 in 92. And I remember these trials in New Orleans. So I don't know if we can group both the Atlanta trials and the New Orleans trials together, the 92 and the 96. But 4th place in New Orleans, probably not heartbreaking. You're feeling good because you're like, okay, I got this. Or how did you feel after a 4th place finish there in 92?
Like, I always tell people this with that and with 96, like, when you walk away and you laid it out there, you've done everything you did, like, even leading up to it, I did everything I could do. Like, I was running 100 miles a week. I was, working. I was doing everything I had to do. And when you have an improvement like I had on the day, and people don't realize back in those days, we had to run 2 rounds and a final all in 5 days. So you had Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
On a steeple?
Steeplechase?
Wow.
Yeah, it was 2
Wow.
rounds. So we would go,
Gosh.
first round Monday, second round Wednesday, third round Friday in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's a little humid. But
in June,
I think
for sure.
I think the mileage and some of the strength, because, when you add up, you got to do 9K in 5 days of steeple, right? When you add up the amount of barriers you ran up around water jumps, like, it's a lot of work, right? So for me, again, like, taking that into perspective, I ran a PB in the first round, a PB in the second round, and then a huge PB in the third round.
Wow.
Like, you walk away from that, what else are you going to do? I ran
Unbelievable.
8:16.92.
Yeah.
Missed the team by 3/100ths of a second. You can't really hang your head. And quite honestly, like, the next thing I know, like, that night I have a European schedule of all basically IAAF meets, so it's like bittersweet, but like a lot of opportunity, right? And then it goes from there. But unfortunately so that was, not, like you say, it's disappointing. Yeah, it was freaking close, man. And
right.
literally we stood there for, like, back then they didn't have the automatic timing and the FAT and the computerized digital timing to figure out placing and all that. So we were standing there for a few minutes. It felt like an hour, right? And I remember the girl who had the flowers and the flag, looking.
Is it to
And
you or is
look-
it the other guy?
Like looking for looking for the number, right? And she's walking towards me, and I'm like, I got this, And then she looks at my number and walks away,
Oh,
So.
dagger.
But that's the initial disappointment. But really, in the end, like you said, like
Yeah.
and I always say this, and I say it to the athletes, like you lay it out there, you do everything you're gonna do, and you've done everything you do. If someone runs better than you on the day, and you did everything, you can walk away with a clear conscience.
And as disappointing as this, fourth place is the toughest place with these Olympic trials. Obviously, you're 26 years old at the time, and you're thinking, I'm going out to these European meets, and I've got this. And then let's go to 96, where you're primed to make the Olympic team there. How did that feel to be fourth place again?
Yeah, well, people do say that fourth place is the worst place to be. It's closer, right? But I always say, what about the guy who was 10th? But so there is that, right? But and you're right. It's a tough spot, especially to do it twice. And it's just I get it. You're so close. But 96 was tough, right? Because I was on the world championship team in 95, went to Gothenburg, was second, and then fast forward to 97, I was second again. So the fourth place in 96 was just tough. And again, that's one of those things where you can't control. You can only control what you can do. Like that track there was hard track, a really hard track. They made it very thin, and it was just like really tough on the legs, and in the steeple it was tough, and it was tough for everyone. I did run 8:21 that day, I think, and I was fourth. But the thing you can't account for is, I told this story recently. Is like, so Robert Gary, I think I was in third going into the last lap, and Mark Coogan and Mark Davis were ahead, and Robert Gary ran 58 for his last lap.
Wow.
Like, I was known as a good kicker, right? People didn't want me behind him, and Robert was just coming up. He was young, and Krogan and he were training partners. He, I always argue he probably would have won it if Mark wasn't,
right
in front of him coming down the last straight. So, he ran a 58 last lap. I ran, I don't know what, I think I closed pretty well, but it just wasn't enough. And that was hard. That was hard, not to go there, because you're thinking you got it. And I'm second the year before, and that stung, and it took a long time to move on, like forget about that and stuff. But the truth is like it takes time for some of those things. And when I look back at everything, I have no regrets at all. And I would never,
Awesome.
I wouldn't have did anything different. Honestly, there's nothing I could have did differently there. So you as an athlete and in life, you got to know, if you do that, you can move on, and I certainly did. And you learn a lot from your failures, or when you come up short, you learn a lot from it too. So, but like I said, I did get to go the next year to Athens and compete in Greece, and then the following year I was second again in 98. I was part of that. I don't know if you remember the Goodwill Games. They used to have that meet. So, I got a lot of great opportunities, and was able to continue through 2000 and retired after that. I think I was sixth in the 2000 trials. So I made finals, and I competed in 4 Olympic trials and made finals 3 times. I think in 88 when I was young, I made semis, but it was I learned a tremendous amount. I think that's why I can bring a lot to offer to these young athletes now, and who I'm coaching, because like I had a lot of experience doing those things as an athlete, and then was able to come back to the sport after our kids got a bit older, and bring some of that knowledge, which I'm passionate about and I love doing, because
I love your story, because it's not so binary, like it's either a failure or a success making the Olympic team. You've run in a USA jersey, and a lot of people don't realize that, because they think of the Olympics as the only thing out there, but it's not a success or failure whether you make the Olympics or not.
Yeah.
And your story says that.
It's to me, and I tell you, it's such a huge risk for these athletes to put so much on the line, right? And sacrifice. So you going into it, you got to do everything you can do, but you really have to be okay with the fact that this might not happen, right? And you can't let it define your life. But if the pursuit of what you're doing is what it's about, and if you do it the right way, you can walk away feeling like, it's about the Olympic dream and that, right? But there's more than that. It's how you do it, how you dedicate yourself to it. Yeah, you're going all in, but you can't let it define you, and you can't be, that's where a lot of the fear comes from people, is like sacrificing so much with so much at stake and not necessarily being able to have a finite, like, yeah, I'll make it, like
Mhm.
you can go get a job, and if you work hard and you put all the work in, you're going to get paid at the end of the week. You know that if you do that and you're consistent and you're good at what you do, you're going to excel and you're going to move up, and in whatever it is you're doing, you're going to get better at it, and you're going to get rewarded from that. Not in this sport. You could do everything you can for 3 years, and then something could go wrong, and you're not necessarily going to get the reward, right? So you really have to be okay with that, and do everything you can to try to avoid that. But it's a huge challenge, and it's like a lot of athletes coming out, like, like if you're doing well, you're making 30K a year. It's like 30K a year.
Yeah.
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 Like, it's a huge risk for young people coming out of, great universities with degrees. And, and I tell them, like, look, if you want to make money, I recommend you go get a job, because this is like, yeah, you can there's some people who make good money. Is it life-changing money? Is it going to be for the rest of their life? Probably not. But, you better be okay with that, because otherwise you are going to be disappointed, and you are going to be challenged in a lot of ways. So, the pursuit is not about that, and you got to be good with that,
I love it. All right. We're here with Tommy Nohilly, Coach Tommy. He's the head coach at the Atlanta Track Club now. But before Atlanta Track Club, you were at New Jersey, New York Track Club and Empire Track Club. How did you get into the professional coaching ranks? How did you get in? Because you, correct me if I'm wrong, you were never a college coach, right?
No.
Yeah.
I've worked with
High school.
colleges
For a
over the
long
years,
time.
Columbia and Iona specifically,
Yeah.
but mostly on a therapeutic side, like
Mhm.
doing the flexibility work and injury prevention, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
With, not obviously, but the active isolated method that I learned from Phil and Jim Wharton. And,
Mhm.
I worked in Phil and Jim Wharton's clinic in New York City for almost 16 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was about 16 years. So, I was mainly doing that for many years, but also took that same philosophy and methodology and began working with GAGs in the New Jersey, New York Track Club, with the athletes there. And that was my role. Obviously I had this experience from being an athlete and, being in the sport, because like the Wharton Clinic we worked at, we had a lot of great athletes coming through there, Khalid Kanuchi, Med.
sure.
I mean, people when they came to New York, they came to the Wharton Clinic to, figure out issues and injuries and injury prevention and stuff. So I was around the sport, and it was mostly part-time for a while. As my kids got older, I was able to, get into it a little bit more. But so then I did, as my kids got older, I was a high school coach at John Jay Cross River in Westchester, starting in 2009, I believe. I think it was just before my son Ian became a freshman. And at the same time, Gags moved back east, and, he was thinking, he wanted to get into coaching. And I was like, hey, I'd love to be part of this. And, we kind of grew it together. I mean, obviously Gags' name and his reputation was easy to recruit athletes and get it going, so that was in 2009, 2010, and then it just kind of grew from there. More athletes wanted to be part of it, and my role was like the therapeutic end and being an assistant coach per
So
se.
you
but also,
initially, it was mostly therapy stuff that you were
it
doing.
was mostly
Yeah,
therapy.
wow.
And then obviously the area of steeplechase,
Yeah.
that was my expertise. So
That
we
was
were
all the
able to,
technical work that he was doing with the steeple
Oh,
athletes.
cool.
yeah.
I would say he was the lead inspiration on the team. too.
Yeah. And Julie,
Tommy was the one that would get all of us going. Like you needed Tommy's energy at practices. You needed Tommy's energy before races.
and
He was a jack of all trades. So he could coach, he could do the technical stuff, he could pull you off the side of the track and fix your body. And he was the one like getting everybody like, all right, I got to go talk to Tommy. Tommy's going to get me going.
And so for context, for the listeners, the New Jersey, New York Track Club that Julie was a part of, that Tommy was a coach of, it Coach Gags, who we've referenced. That's where Julie was for a few years and ultimately made the Olympic team under the tutelage of Gags and Coach Tommy. So, okay, I understood your role there. Did you really enjoy the coaching part of it, or did you think that or were you surprised you enjoyed it that as much as you did, and it was more than just the therapy stuff for you?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. And then like I said, I was doing the high school coaching at the same time, and started to get some success there, and really enjoyed, like, obviously the opportunity that my kids actually wanted to come out and run, and I was the coach. That was pretty cool to see them do it. And it was kind of nice because we, it was a family thing and also the community thing, and really, had some success there. I think in the third year I was there, that women's team won the New York State Federation meet in cross country.
Awesome.
My daughters were on the team there, and some other great young ladies were on that helped us do that. And then, we just, I had some success there, and that's where I really started kind of get my own bearings on, the real solid coaching part of it. Right. And that, so, was doing that, but also at the same time, Gags, he really gave me a lot of freedom, and we trusted, and it was a great trust there. And I was able to, talk to him, and he was able to trust me with talking to the athletes. And I never really, I never even thought of well, when is he going to retire? Because he was great. I had the flexibility of coming in and out, and I wasn't as available as he was to be there, to be the head coach. Even when we were in New Jersey, I think I only used to make it to one practice a week because it was too much to get all the way over there with family and the other coaching. So Gags really allowed me the opportunity to stay part of that in the way that it worked. And I think I brought some things to the team that were real helpful. But, Gags really allowed me to work in that way. And I continued to learn and be part of that. And, like Julie said, there was some things that I brought that were really helpful also. But I do recognize that opportunity was because Gags trusted me, and the athletes then trusted me. And we developed a really good mojo with that.
It was a great partnership. And we always look forward to you being there. And, now having had the experience as a coach for a number of years, you see and know how special it is to have really an assistant coach or someone who brings a different set of skills that can be complementary to the skills of the head coach. And, looking back on that time period, I, as an athlete, felt really blessed. And, I can look on it with a lot of perspective now of the combination between you and Gag was perfect.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. And then John Troutman came on, and then we had really had a good flow of personalities and what people bring to the table, because you need that, obviously, and then it was just easy.
I was washed up by that era, Tommy, though. So I didn't have the John era.
That's right. Well, so John, I guess, came in 17, probably, or so you were done in 16, right? Was it 16?
Yeah, I had already had a baby by 16.
By
so I was
16.
done somewhere around 14. I don't know either. So
it's all blending, the timelines are blended into one, right?
Yeah.
So, but
that was second phase. To me, that was really second phase of NJNY is when the Hoka partnership came in, and there was a whole different crop and a different coaching dynamic, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
So you were more. So then Empire Elite Track Club came about a couple years after that. That was when you and John, you mentioned John Troutman. That's when you guys took this on full time, and this became a full time gig for you at that point.
Yes and no. I mean, it was a lot of work. It was full time work, but we still both had to have other jobs. It wasn't I always say, there was a lot of workouts, I probably shouldn't say this, being sent out on the New York Thruway, so, but, yeah, it was a full-time gig, and, you have to go full in, because without a sponsor, we had some really great, generous donors that helped us to keep it afloat, from a funding standpoint.
Mhm.
And great fans of the sport, that really, made it happen. And that allowed us to continue, because obviously, like, without any funding, you can't do it, right? So, but, it was kind of a tough period of time, right? When you think about, we kind of started up in 20, and that was just like post-COVID
Yeah.
and, all that. So it was an interesting time to try to figure things out. But yeah, I mean, when we ended, when after the Hoka and the New Jersey thing kind of closed down, and John and I kept it going and started Empire. We had the opportunity to still have some athletes that wanted to transition from that, and we brought some new athletes in, and then John and I were training partners when I was part of the Reebok Enclave back from like 1993.
Mhm.
And, and that's going back a little bit, like, John and I knew each other. I knew John in high school, but we were together at the Reebok Enclave, and we worked a lot together, in training and stuff. So, John had like left the sport for a while and came back in. So, it was kind of a really cool, we've had a great partnership, since then, with Empire, and Empire, is really like it's been like a passion for John and I, and like we're really proud of what we've
Yeah.
been able to build in that,
I mean,
So
a lot of great athlete performances. I think most of the audience probably knows of Eric Holt and his successes, but I mean, there's been a ton of other successes. But talk real quick about Eric before we get into the Atlanta Track Club.
I mean, Eric is a funny story, right? Because, like, I mean, people like, so I don't know if you know the story about how we recruited him. Like, basically,
No.
I went on Strava, and I knew who he was because actually I coached. He went to Carmel High School, which when I was coaching at John Jay, it was one of the other schools in our league, actually. So I
Mhm.
knew him from high school. I knew he was good, and he was on a team with a cross country state team with one of my athletes, and I just knew who he was. And then he wound up winning the Monmouth Mile like a few years before this, and beating a bunch of the NJ and Y guys. And this first time he broke 4 minutes, and he wasn't even in the race until that day. Like, he just got in
Wow.
last minute, and he won. And so I kind of knew who he was. But then I went on Strava, like when John and I were getting ready to start the New Jersey Track Club up, and I'm looking at Strava, and I'm like, this guy, is he really doing this? Like, I don't know, what the heck is he doing? He's running workouts at 11:30 at night. He's running all his runs in like 5:30 to 5:40 pace. I'm
Yikes.
like, what this can't be possible, right? And like, I'm just like wondering. So I give him a call, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm like, you doing? Like, he's like, yeah, I work the night shift, so I got to do my workouts like before I go in because I'm too tired like the next day.
Yeah.
And
Oh
I go
my
out and I do these
gosh.
first, and then I work the night shift. He was working at like an adolescent and young adult psych facility,
Wow.
and in actually right near where I used to coach high school at John Jay. He would literally be working out. That's why I was looking at it. I was like, why is he working at John Jay High School, working out at John Jay High School? Because you can see everything on Strava,
You're
right?
stalking on Strava.
Yeah,
I do it all the time. Yep. I gotcha.
So, I mean, this is it. But anyway, long story short is like, yeah, I'm doing all that. And he's like, I just want to be good. And I'm just doing this because I think this is what I got to do. And I was like, well, why don't you come out and, let's talk and bring him in. And like, it took a while to get him to slow down and, realize that, not everything needs to be so fast all the time, but he was just willing to do whatever it takes. And also, like, you could see that he was able to handle a tremendous amount of work. And that's one of
Yeah.
his gifts is he's incredibly durable,
Yeah.
incredibly strong-willed, but just needed direction like a lot of athletes, and that's the thing is like it's so hard in the sport if you don't get signed right out of college. It's hard that's why he's struggling, right? Because he wasn't signed out of college. Everyone thinks he's old, but the truth is he's really only being trained because he was at Binghamton, and he just didn't reach his potential there for a lot of reasons, including from his part and everyone's part. But like whatever that didn't work out for him, and so he's really actually kind of young in the sport because he hasn't really been training like a pro or someone to get to this level for that long. It's only been 3 years. So the learning curve, because he never went to NCAAs and anything. So he never went through the rounds. He never did all these things that you got to do to learn. And that's the thing about the NCAA system is you really learn a lot because of the rounds. That's why I discourage people from coming out early in that, because it's the learning curve that you get. It's like the minor leagues, right? You just get a lot of at bats, trying to go through the rounds, like with indoor conference meet, indoor NCAAs, outdoor conferences meet, regionals, and then NCAAs. You do 2 or 3 years like that. When you come out, you know how to run the rounds. So he missed all that experience, right? So anyway, that's why he's there's a lot of upside, because he's 27 or whatever he is now, but
But he's new in so many ways. Yeah.
335 guy, 354 mile. Congrats on you and John's success with Eric. That is really cool.
Well, he's a guy too. When you watch him race, like he's gonna take you to the line. He's going to that personality is so fun, and it's hard to find. It's unique.
Yeah. It's pretty fun to watch. I mean, in some ways, he's still learning that you don't necessarily have to try that hard all the time.
All right, so we're going to move on. You come from this scrappy program with very little resources with Empire, and now I'm not going to say Atlanta Track Club has a ton of resources. I see the Adidas logo on your shirt here. First of all, you got some Adidas shoes now that you're running in?
I just got a pair. Yeah, I'm trying them out. Like this shirt is actually like a little bit. I think I got this at the hospitality suite last year or something.
There we go.
Like that.
It says USA on for our listeners.
But I'm definitely going to be an Adidas guy now. Transitioning from whatever we could get. Usually going down like to whatever discount outlets are available. And, I found this place.
You did a lot. You did a lot with a little. A lot with a little.
There's this great place in Flushing. I probably shouldn't mention it because I don't want people going there to get the shoes. But you can get vapor flies and down there for like under $100. And it's like an overstock.
Not anymore. Now you've told everybody. Not anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to get to though, and they'll never find it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So why did you decide to even pursue this job? I feel like you're in New York. You did go to Florida. You went to California. I didn't realize that. Then you went to Florida. So
he's a global guy. Yeah, he's a global guy.
So why did you decide to even pursue the job?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been in New York since '96. Kim and I were married in Arlington and lived in Arlington. Back in '94. So we were there for like a year before Kim got into Fordham Law School, and we moved up and been here since. So, we've been here for a long time. It's going to be a transition, right? I mean, we downsized and moved here up in New Paltz, which is a great running and biking area and a great little town. And we'll miss all that. But the truth is, that I would have loved to have been like able to stay here in New York and do what we built at Empire. And I'm passionate. I love all the athletes here. John and I have a phenomenal relationship, but this opportunity came up and I couldn't turn it down, especially with some of the challenges that we have at Empire, just with not knowing where our next group of funding is going to come from. It's hard, and that, but I get it. We've knocked on a lot of doors and that opportunity just hasn't come. And I think it will come, but with that, and then you're trying to support 2 coaches and some of those challenges as far as like funding and everything and that. So the opportunity came up and, I realized even like in June, John are like, man, how are we going to get through July?
Right.
So at that time, and I actually was going to take on a coaching job and the therapeutic side of what I was doing. I had my own business there and seeing clients. So, I was going to have 2 jobs and trying to do Empire this coming year. And not that I'm not willing to do that and sacrifice for it because we've been doing that, but unknown with it is tough, and for the team too, it's tough. So when this came up, I had to at least pursue it, and then obviously went through the process and got hired, and I'm like grateful in so many ways to have the opportunity to go down there, like you're saying, with Adidas behind the Atlanta Track Club, and working with a great organization from Rich Canal on down, and to Eric, and then in the athletes. I mean, they have a tremendous group of athletes down there, and the opportunity for me is like phenomenal.
Yeah,
So
we've talked to Pace Nation, went to Sound Running, and we talked to Allie and Olivia, who are just studs. So
Mhm.
how exciting is it to work with Olivia Baker and Allie Wilson and others?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm in the process of getting to know everyone. There's a lot of people starting to finish up their season, and and Amy and Andrew, they've built a great group of athletes, and given them a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience in the sport, and I'm looking forward to just trying to continue that with them. And we're on the men's side, trying to recruit and get some more athletes down there. And I think it's all looking really, really promising. But on the women's side, yeah, I mean, between, Allie and Olivia and Sadie and Yolanda, and they have a tremendous roster on that side. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to, getting to know all those guys and understanding like what they've done and what we can do, and just, going into the Olympic year, trying to build confidence in me and what I'm doing, and what what I'm about. And so I'm looking forward to have that opportunity, and I'm going to start up officially September 15th, but then
Nice.
moving down there
Okay.
by October 1. So, but I'm obviously doing a lot already to try to help
For
build it.
sure, to
Yeah.
prep. Yep.
Yeah.
Tommy, as part of the high performance mission down there, is it track specific? Are they asking you to build out a marathon program? They've had marathoners in the past, or are they kind of looking to you to decide, what the future is for the program?
We're going to exclusively focus on mid distance from this point.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
awesome.
mid distance program. I think right now we don't have any steeplers. Hopefully in the future we'll, get that going.
That's
Yeah,
one of the
get some-
first things you'll be
put a
doing when you
couple
get down
hurdles
there.
out on the track.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
don't
get a couple
follow
of
you.
barriers.
who's got the water pits? What
Yeah.
high schools have water pits
Yeah,
that you can
no, you
use? Who's
don't.
got barriers?
We'll build our own water pit. I'll make a pit, but but so yeah, I mean, obviously, I think so we're gonna be, that's the focus. And I like that. I like being more precise. Not that I am
niche.
confident. I could coach those distances, but I think I'm gonna be the sole coach. There's no assistant at this point. I think in the future there will be. But right now, so for me to be able to focus on that, and to focus on that group, I think is a good transition, and build it out from there. But
That's awesome.
it will be mostly only mid distance.
Mid distance. Awesome.
Yeah.
And Tommy, you have a range of skill sets, right? So your ability to coach, your ability to talk psychology with the athletes, your ability to physically move the athletes and get them going from a therapy perspective. How do you envision, I'm sure with your roles previously, you've been doing all of those things. How do you envision that as you now come into a head coaching role, larger roster, full funding? What will that look like? You still going to be pulling athletes on the side and stretching them out, or
Probably
what's this going to be?
I'm gonna delegate more of that out, and they have the resources at Atlanta Track Club to do that. I mean, I think having the eye to what makes sense, and the knowledge about what's going on with that guy. He doesn't look right. He doesn't look right running. There's something going on. Let's get him in to see. Let's work on mobility in the hip. The left hip is tight, or he's not pushing off properly, or that foot that I like. So I know the body and the biomechanics that are required to do what we're going to do. And so I think having that knowledge, and not necessarily always having to be the hands-on guy, and I'm gonna delegate most of that out, but have the knowledge and bring in the other experts that can do that. And they have a medical team down there of doctors and physical therapists and everything in place. And I think they have weekly discussions about the athletes and what's going on. And so my knowledge and my skill set to understand that, but not necessarily be the guy that, although I know him and I want to jump in and say, no, let's just stretch this out. Like we just got to do that. The psoas is like locked up, so I'm going to have to like, step back a little bit and understand that I need to stay in my lane because like, obviously, yeah, even now with like, I'd be at New Jersey, New York Track Club stretching somebody out and I got the watch and hanging around my neck and I'm like, okay, good job. Back to stretching, so, and that's been great because too with John, like we can do that and we got like, but I'm not going to have that ability, but I'll still have that knowledge and be able to apply it. And like you're saying, like in this day and age, all of those things are so important to have experts. Like even here in New York, like we've really got a great team. We've been so fortunate for people wanting to be part of what we're doing. We have a dietitian, Amy Stevens. We have Dr. Delamora. We have a chiropractor, Glenn Sorrentino. And so we have a psych person, Adam Wright. So we have all that, but you need that, and you got to be able to access that for the athletes when it's necessary and then be preemptive on it. Also, you have to be ahead of a lot of this stuff and have all of that in place and access to it. But I think the thing that I can bring is understanding when it's needed and when it's necessary. And also, there's so many forms of so many modalities of recovery now. And even when you're injured, between like PRP and shockwave and chiropractic and dry needling and just so much out there, you have to be able to sift through it with the athletes and understand what it is in order to direct them and then give them confidence in what they're doing when these things come up.
Well, I'm excited for these athletes. I know you have this X factor, and not many coaches have it, which is the eye. It's the ability to see it. And that's what keeps athletes going, right? Is the ability to say, something's not right. We're not going to finish this workout. We're going to get this worked out. We're going to try again in a couple days when things are moving a little bit more smoothly. That's how athletes stay on their feet. Great coaches and even smaller percentage of coaches who have the ability to see that are so unique. And I know you're going to bring an incredible wealth of knowledge and ability to this program. So consider us your biggest fans heading to Atlanta, maybe besides your immediate family, but I cannot wait to see what you do down there.
I appreciate it. I'm excited too. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity and having the support from people like you guys and understand the journey is awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And one last one. I think, and we're going to get you out of here. We were down there, pre-COVID for the in Atlanta for the marathon trials that the Atlanta Track Club puts on. This is a big organization who does a lot in the community, which is pretty awesome, from youth events to, the Peachtree Road Race, a marathon, all kinds of stuff. You're going to stay in your lane with the Atlanta Track Club Elite, but do you expect to be involved in the global Atlanta running community down there?
Well, that's also a big part of the mission for the organization from the elite standpoint is the athletes and myself also. I'll be available when they need me to step in, and when I'm around, I'm available. I've been involved with this sport from youth to high school, to masters, to everything. So, I'm excited to kind of get the opportunity to bounce around when they need me. Obviously, coaching requires, a certain amount of time, but there'll be times when I'm available to be involved. Listen, I'll drive a truck. I don't, I'm like, whatever it takes. We need to get some equipment down there, like we used to
You'll
get
drive an Airstream. You got this.
Let's get the hands dirty, like I'll do whatever it takes. I don't mind doing all that stuff. I enjoy it, honestly. The athletes down at Atlanta too, they're involved with the organization. There is there's a volunteer portion that's important to the organization, and the athletes actually give back about 15 hours a week to the organization to volunteer hours to help push those youth programs and some of the other stuff that they're doing in the community. And so it's a big part of the mission there. So from an elite level, and from a coaching level, like, yeah, I'm ready. And the athletes know that this is part of the deal.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Atlanta's got this best in class model,
They
right?
do.
That
Mhm.
if we could take this
jealous.
model and
DC's
bring
jealous.
it to other cities,
Mhm.
maybe we need to start talking to Rich a little bit more about bringing it to DC.
I
But
know.
the ability
Yeah.
to connect the community,
It is
the
pretty
youth,
awesome.
and really be encouraging the sport from the grassroots
It's-
up, connected to races,
Yep.
connected to elite, and
Mhm.
have the ability to host the Olympic trial. It's just an unbelievable organization. So for
Yeah.
you to get
No,
to be a
I,
part of
I,
it is just
Pretty
so
cool.
exciting.
it's huge. It's huge. I think the number is somewhere around 4,000 kids involved in their youth
awesome.
outreach programs in Atlanta that goes out to the schools and gets the kids running, and it's amazing. And I can remember that's one of the reasons I got involved in running as a kid at 10 years old. I mean, there were cross country meets at Van Cortlandt Park where you would go on a Saturday and there'd be 300 kids out there running in the cross country meet,
Amazing.
age group races, 300 in each age group. So the youth and the grassroots programs are critical for our sport and for running and the culture around it to thrive. So Atlanta's got it right that way.
Yep. Well,
You
they
know.
got a good coach as well. We're really
Thanks.
excited for you. Can't wait to visit you down there, man. We'll be down there. So you're heading there, in October full time. September
September,
15th,
yeah.
you start
Mhm.
as the head coach of the Atlanta Track Club Elite. So, man, congrats! This is awesome. Really excited for you. Can't wait to follow the progress as we head into an Olympic year. And thanks so much for your time today and joining us here.
No, thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate
Yeah.
the endorsement and you guys' faith in me. And when you're down there, come check us out. We'll go
We
for
will.
a jog in Piedmont Park.
You got it, brother. Well, all right, that's awesome. There he goes. That's the head coach of the Atlanta Track Club, Tommy Nohilly. He joined us on Pace the Nation. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Pace the Nation is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
All right, welcome back to the program, and thanks again to the head coach of the Atlanta Track Club, Tommy Nohilly, for joining us. You can find information about the Atlanta Track Club if you want to check them out, atlantatrackclub.org. They've got information about the club and the elite team. Tommy's not up there yet. I guess his official start date hasn't started quite yet.
Well, it's been announced.
It's been announced, so
it's
yeah.
been officially announced.
Yep. So,
But sometimes these web pages take a few days or weeks or months or years to change. So
that's true. That's a good
we'll give
point.
him some grace.
Awesome to have Tommy join us. We touched on it. He's near and dear to our heart. Obviously, he coached you in New Jersey. We touched on it too. His wife, one of the most famous.
Here we go. Back to being
Yorktown,
about you. Is this
Yorktown
at
Patriots.
Kim or
Yeah.
is this about you and
Kim.
Arlington?
Kim was an awesome track athlete at Yorktown. I knew of Kim when I went to Yorktown. She was a couple years older than me, so we didn't cross over. But I did not know a couple things about Tommy Nohilly. I did not know he went to California, and did not know he lived in the center of the universe. Well, maybe not Clarendon, but he did live in Arlington in 1994.
When he was part of the Enclave.
Yeah. 1994 when I was graduating high school. So, I remember I went up and I thought I had a chance to run for Georgetown. I went up and I saw Coach Gaggs, and this was like 93. And he said, "Hey, listen," or maybe it was 92. So maybe Tommy wasn't there yet, but Gaggs said, "You run about 10 seconds faster and give me a call." I never did run that 10 seconds faster, but I do remember the athletes working out up there on the top of the hill. And Gaggs was super nice to me then. I've told him that story.
It's a reminder of the superiority of Georgetown versus Virginia.
hey, easy. But maybe my point was maybe
during that time period.
maybe
during
Tommy
that time period, they're
Tommy
both
was up there.
phenomenal now.
Maybe Tommy was up there working out. But anyways, great to have Tommy Nohilly on the program. Great to be back. Pacers, Pace the Nation, I should say, is back. And how do you feel? We're 2 episodes in as we're closing this one.
Well, now that we've done a second episode, I feel like the term back might be more applicable when you
Yeah.
were saying we're back. And it was one episode in. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. Let's see how the next couple of weeks go. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we're
There's
working out-
a lot of great content that we have coming in the near
sure.
future, and I'm excited for all the guests that we have. So.
And we're working out the kinks a little bit, little things like internet passwords and Wi-Fi connections and all
yeah,
that
the
stuff.
fact that you don't know the internet password to your own office is amazing, but not surprising.
I had to bring in she didn't know during the
bring in
interview
some reinforcements.
during the interview. I didn't know she was asking me, so sorry if I was distracted. So for your YouTube folks, you can see this is our Wi-Fi. So if you want to steal the Pacers running Wi-Fi, check out our YouTube video. There's a tease to check out us on
the
YouTube.
Pacers staff is really loving you right
Yeah.
now. Thank you.
All I needed to just show you that sign. All right. Anyways, great show, Julie.
Great show,
Good
Chris.
stuff. Good to be with you. This was awesome. All right. Thanks to our guest, Tommy Nohilly, for joining us. He was awesome. Always awesome. Look forward to catching up with Tommy in the future as they go into a big year for the Atlanta Track Club and just for running in general as we head into the Paris Olympics in 2024. So thanks again to Tommy for joining us. Yeah, good show. Awesome.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. For Julie, I'm Chris. This is Pace the Nation. We'll see you next time.